Hi, I'm Kevin, and I am here with Scott Mantz, and we are going to be doing JSI battle, Star Wars versus Star Trek. I would like to take it away, but I'm going to be nice and give it to you. Go ahead.
I just want to say, for starters, that I do love Star Wars. I saw the first movie when I was 8, had a big impact on me. The Empire Strikes Back is not just the best Star Wars film, it's one of the greatest movies of all time. So I love Star Wars, but I will always love Star Trek more, and for a number of reasons.
Please tell me.
Okay, well, let's go back to where it all started, which was in the 60s. There was a lot going on in this country and the world. Star Trek reflected that. Star Trek was about something. Sure, you had great episodes that were just entertaining and exciting, like Mirror Mirror, The Doomsday Machine, and The City on the Edge of Forever, but you had episodes that reflected the times. The Cold War in Errand of Mercy, the Vietnam War in A Private Little War. You had the counterculture in This Side of Paradise.
But why are you saying that that makes it better than Star Wars, is my question.
Because it was a thinking person show. It was about something. It wasn't just entertaining. Star Wars was entertaining. I'll give it that.
Right.
It was very entertaining.
But that's like
and
comparing
exciting.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. They both take place in mental hospitals.
Absolutely
you cannot
not the same thing.
Compare them, yeah,
it's
because
like comparing
one
the
is a
Beatles.
space fantasy and it's an epic space opera about a hero's journey. It's about redemption, and yours is going into political and topical issues.
But see, that's one of the many reasons why Star Trek has endured, because it holds a mirror up to society, just like the best of science fiction should do. Look at Planet of the Apes. That was about the race riots in the 60s, but the best of science fiction will hold a mirror up to society and disguise it as entertainment. Star Trek did that. It had its fantasy, it had its epic adventures, but it also had messages.
Star Wars has crossed multi-generations. There's different cultures and different, if male, female, it's become something bigger than what Star Trek has become.
Star Trek
is
became
very
something
niche.
big as well.
Right, but it's very niche now, and Star Wars just keeps on getting bigger and bigger.
I don't agree. And Tell that to the tons and tons of people who go to conventions around the country.
I also think Star Trek is very American. Star Wars is very worldwide.
Star Trek is very American? Just look at the Bridge of the Enterprise. Yeah, you have an American. Captain Kirk was born in Iowa.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
You have a Russian, you have an Asian, you have an African, and you have a guy from another planet.
You're misinterpreting what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm not saying the people on the show. I'm saying how it's endured. It's not as popular worldwide as Star Wars is worldwide.
If you want to talk popularity, then you're right. Star Wars, you can't top it. The 6 movies made more than $4.5 billion around the world. If you're talking just popularity, then yeah, Star Wars wins, argument is over. But Star Wars is exciting. Star Wars changed the way Hollywood movies were made.
Absolutely.
But it did that because of its technical achievement. If the original Star Wars was made with a low budget and had cheesy effects, it would not have had the impact that it did. Most people will recall seeing the very first shot of when the Star Destroyer flew over their head and it kept going and going and going, and it just built on that, and then Empire built on the first Star Wars. I'm not arguing that at all. But Star Trek had excitement, it had adventure, even though a Jedi craves not these things, but it had all of those things, and it had intelligence and strong characters and stories that reflected the times. That's why it's better. Maybe not as popular. We're not talking popularity. We're talking depth, and that is why Star Trek endures.
So you don't think that there's any depth in Star Wars at all?
To an extent. It's about a boy, a girl, and a galaxy.
But it's not. No, you're just quoting the tagline. It's about
that's what it is.
It's about a redemption of a character who fell.
Okay.
And it's also about a boy coming into his own and accepting his past and making the right choices and the right decisions. Okay. There's a lot more going on. It's the journey of the hero. Joseph Campbell's journey of the hero that is endured longer than Star Trek has.
Well,
so they're just just two different things.
Right.
And one is, and I don't think you can compare them on that level because they're trying to achieve different things.
Okay. Well, just like you mentioned the hero's journey that Star Wars had, Star Trek, Captain Kirk was Captain Horatio Hornblower in space. That's what that was. And let's get into the characters. You had 3 main characters in the original Star Trek, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, and they were such different, diverse, and fully realized characters that had so much depth. Captain Kirk, in particular, for me, when I was growing up, Captain Kirk was the ultimate hero. Talk about someone who had a journey every single week for 79 episodes. He always said and did the right thing, and he cared about his crew. He made the ultimate sacrifice for the Enterprise. He made the right decisions. He was a great role model, and listen, he had a way with women, and for a guy like me, growing up in high school and in college, that had a major impact.
Well, for those, if you want to compare, then you have Princess Leia in her bikini. But it wasn't my thing. But that's all good. But we had Han Solo, who was the guy that wasn't doing the things the right way. And he was kind of a badass. You know, he was doing things the wrong way, but he started to make the right choices. And I feel like Star Wars does a lot about choices. It's even about, you know, you can argue about the Death Star and, you know, they made a second one so quickly and what is it doing there and how does it work? But it's more about like, what's the decision in trying to destroy it? They're going to kill a lot of people. There's a lot of other things going on there besides, you know, Ewoks and fun and lightsaber battles.
Star Wars had the religion aspect. It was very spiritual.
Yeah.
But what Star Trek had was a utopian depiction of the future. In the 1960s, when things were looking really bad with the Cold War and with Vietnam and with race riots everywhere, the assassinations of JFK, RFK, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., here is a show that shows humankind in the 23rd century not only surviving, but thriving, prospering, going out into the stars, exploring strange new worlds, going boldly where no one has gone before. And you also had a tremendous amount of diversity on the bridge of the Enterprise.
I agree with
that. Do you
that.
realize how much of a big deal it was to have Michelle Nichols as Lieutenant Uhura? She didn't have much to do, but her presence on the bridge at a time when there were race riots all over the world was a very big deal. And another ballsy move, Gene Roddenberry puts a Russian in the navigator's chair. These were all risky things that were done on top of the fact that the show was about something and that it was an allegory and a metaphor for the times. You had a positive depiction of our future, not a galaxy far, far away, our future. It gave us hope at a time when we really needed it and still do.
It reflected the time and it gave people what they needed at the time. I think Star Wars did the exact same thing.
You're confusing better with popular.
When something is popular, it's feeding into something that people want and something people need and something people are longing for.
Right.
And why is it that Star Wars has constantly endured? You don't have to introduce your kids to Star Wars. It is around you. It is all there. If you want to introduce your kids to Star Trek, you have to sit them down and go, here, honey, you need to watch this. But so that's what I'm saying is there's something that people are excited about and still resonates with them with Star Wars that has made it endure as long as it has, and I think it's going to endure a lot longer than Star Trek will.
I don't think it will. I mean, I think that they'll both endure for different reasons. I mean, and I'll say, absolutely, again, Star Wars is the more popular entity, but you keep asking me, well, how do these things make it better? When I bring up the messages and the allegories, when I bring up the utopian depiction of the future, the racial equality, those are important things. Those are important things. It's about something.
Star Wars was influenced filmmaking and filmmakers.
Yes, it did.
And it still does. That was the movie that changed the game. Jaws was the first blockbuster. Star Wars was the second huge blockbuster.
Correct.
It changed the way movies were made.
The bottom line, Star Trek was first. Star Trek came out in 1966. The first
That's a weak argument.
No, it is not. Because without Star Trek, I got news for you. There might never have been a Star Wars.
Wrong.
That is so possible.
He was inspired by Flash Gordon
possible.
serials. He was inspired by The Searchers, Hidden Fortress, Guns of Navarone. It wasn't Star Trek.
Okay, but Star Trek had something to do with the popularity, with launching Star Wars.
Star Trek, the movies would never have happened without Star Wars. You would have nothing except for your first 3 seasons.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
No,
Star Trek was planning to come back.
They've actually all talked about it.
Star Trek was planning to come back to television before anyone knew what a Star Wars was.
The movies would
what
never
Star
come
Wars did was it turned the return of Star Trek into a feature film.
Empire Strikes Back. That's all I have to say. See, it kills it every freaking time.
Light speed, warp 9, 700.